All right, let's dive into one of the oldest stories ever told. I'm talking about the foundational tale from the book of Genesis about two brothers, Cain and Abel. It's a really short story, but wow, is it packed. It's all about family, jealousy, and the tragic consequences that can come from our choices. So what really goes down in humanity's very first story of sibling rivalry? Well, it's a tragedy, and it sets the stage for these huge themes we see again and again. Themes like sin, punishment, and even the possibility of mercy from God. So let's just trace the story exactly as it unfolds in the text. The story kicks off right where the Adam and Eve story ends, with the birth of their first two kids. First up, there's Cain. He's the firstborn. And then comes his younger brother, Abel. And right away, we see a big difference between them. Cain works the soil, he's a farmer, while Abel is a shepherd, tending the flocks. Now they both bring an offering to God from their labor, but this is where the trouble really starts. God accepts Abel's offering, but totally rejects Cain's. The text just says it was not respected, and that single act of rejection becomes the catalyst for everything that follows. Cain's reaction to this is, well, it's intense. He is filled with this burning anger. His face just falls in despair. And then comes an absolutely devastating blow. Because his offering was rejected, God basically strips him of his birthright as the firstborn and gives that honor to his younger brother Abel. So suddenly, this isn't just about a rejected gift anymore. It's about his whole status, his whole identity being completely flipped upside down. Then God speaks directly to Cain, giving him a pretty clear warning and honestly a chance to turn things around. See, the problem wasn't the fruit itself. It was the spirit behind the offering. The key was to give willingly from the heart. This really implies that Cain's offering came from a place of obligation, maybe even pride, but not real devotion. He's got a choice to make.
But Cain, he ignores the warning. That anger and jealousy inside him just keeps simmering, keeps growing, pushing the story right toward its violent and maybe inevitable climax.
The text itself is so simple, it's chilling. And Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and killed him. That's it. Out in a field, brother turns on brother, and just like that, the first act of murder enters the human story. The first family is shattered.
The deed is done, and now we immediately shift to the consequences. This isn't just about Cain and Abel anymore. It becomes a direct confrontation between Cain and God.
God's first question isn't an accusation. It's more like an invitation to confess. I mean, of course, God already knows the answer. The question, where is Abel your brother? It's for Cain. It's to force him to face what he's just done. And Cain's reply has become one of the most famous and infamous lines in all of literature. I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? It's a lie, of course, but it's also this incredibly defiant question that basically tries to deny the most fundamental human responsibility we have to care for one another. So the curse that follows is just devastating, and it attacks Cain right at the core of who he is. First, the ground he used to farm will no longer produce for him. Second, he's exiled, cast out from his family to wander as a fugitive. And finally, in what's really the ultimate punishment, he is cut off from the very presence of God. But just when the story seems to be about nothing but punishment, it takes this really unexpected turn. Faced with his fate, Cain is suddenly gripped by fear, and this fear leads to a surprising moment of, well, mercy.
This is the first time we see anything from Cain besides anger and defiance. Now it's just pure terror. He cries out, "My punishment is greater than I can bear," because he's convinced that being a wanderer is basically a death sentence, that someone will find him and kill him.
And in a truly fascinating twist, God responds to Cain's fear with an act of protection. The text really emphasizes this moment. Yahweh set a mark upon Cain, and this mark isn't a brand of shame. It's a shield. It's a divine warning to everyone else not to harm him. And to give this promise some real teeth, God declares that anyone who kills Cain will have vengeance taken on them sevenfold. That number, 7, implies a complete and total divine payback. So, in this incredible paradox, the world's first murderer is now under divine protection. So, how does this whole story wrap up? Well, with Cain exiled and Abel gone, the narrative kind of splits, showing us two very different futures for humanity, both sprouting from the roots of this one family. So you see these two paths emerge. Cain's lineage is born in exile. He wanders off to the land of Nod, which literally means wandering, and he builds a city, starting a line of human civilization that's separate from God. But Adam and Eve have another son, Seth, who was meant to replace Abel. His descendants are described as righteous, a lineage that actively calls upon the name of the Lord. Which really brings us back to the central mystery of the story, doesn't it? What exactly is the mark of Cain? Is it a brand of shame, marking him forever as a murderer? Or is it a symbol of profound, unexpected mercy? A sign that even after the most terrible sin, redemption, or at least protection, is still possible. The text gives us no easy answers, leaving us to grapple with that question ourselves.